Okay, for our next color, I used this light green and yellow and I mixed it. And that just kind of looks like a lime green. It doesn't really look like a natural tree green. It's a little too bright. So what I'm going to do is take a tiny bit of red and I'm going to dull this color a little bit. Because if you choose the complementary color, red is a complement to green, you can take out the intensity or the brightness of a color, and then it makes it a little more natural-like. See, it's a little bit more, not quite an olive green, but that is much better than, I should not do this with a brush. I should do that with a palette knife. It would be a better idea. Okay, I think that'll work. Now to add the highlights. And for this, I'm just going to do little tiny movements. Some of it will be in front. I want this color mostly on the left side of the tree. I'll probably come in with even one more color, a little brighter, a little lighter. Probably add some white. And just to give a few touches here and there. See, we put, every time we add a color, we put a little less of that color on. We don't need as much. We just want to pick out where the light is most likely to shine. Okay, this tree, I want it to be in front of that one behind. Oops, setting my hand in wet paint. Use my little finger, it's still clean, have to check it. I use it as a foot to kind of set it down. It's to dry down here, but it's wet up there, so I have to be careful. Just little tiny touches. Might be a tiny bit of this showing up there, just to show that these branches are coming out from the back side. Because remember, a tree, sometimes when kids draw trees, even adults, I've seen adults do this. When they draw a tree, it looks like there's only branches on the left side and the right, but they don't have any branches in the center. So it is important that you do have, the tree looks like it needs to be full all the way around. Now this is just a bush here. So we can just do little dots here to help identify this little bush. It's a bush sitting up here on the same level as that tree, but that tree is down behind. There's another branch on top. Remember, this little tree is behind, so don't cross over that trunk because this trunk is in front. I have a little part of it sticking out there. Go hit that again. Oops, I'm breaking my rules. I just got into painting these little trees on the bottom. I haven't even painted that tree yet, but they just look fun to paint. So see how they stand out so much more when they have that highlight on them. That's why that highlight is so important. You still want to keep some very dark darks, and I still might have to go in and just put little touches of dark darks. And over here where you have it's starting to get a little more green, you need to have those little highlights on that left side of that tree. A few in the middle. See how now this tree stands out against the backdrop. Okay, I'm coming back in with a very dark green, with sort of a ultramarine green, which has kind of some blue in it, mixed with black, and that the shape of the tree is good. Some of it goes right on top of the dark that's already there, and if I feel like I got too much brightness of the highlights, and maybe I just need to extend a branch to make it look more complete. Because I want this side of the right side of the tree to also contrast with the background. Could even be just a tiny bit of spaces in between that need a little bit more darkness. Here, there's a branch in front, and there should be some darks on the right side. Maybe there's too much green. There should be some darks under here. Just a teensy bit. Perhaps some of these branches that are up close to the trunk should have a little bit more shadow on them. Especially the branches that are on the right side of the tree. So this comes around the front, so that was fine, but this one on this side should have a little bit more green. I feel like this needs some darkness to make this branch look like highlights in front of that tree. And a couple of more. I want these to look more like they're in front of that tree as well. And there's a lot of branches in here, so maybe there should be a little more shadow up underneath. So even if I just leave a tiny bit of the highlight showing, that's fine because that's the color on the other side of the tree. It just gives a little bit more dimension to the tree. Having the highlights and the darks. Just want to make it look believable. Want to make it look realistic. So you really have to think about it. So right there on the top of that tree, I only have lights, so I want to just add a little bit more dark to help the lights. Maybe a point on this end. Just little touches make a big difference. If the previous color looked a little bit transparent, we don't want it to look transparent. We want the tree to look solid. So that's another benefit of adding the layers of paint. So the tree looks more complete. Like this green right here is too light, so we'll just make it a little bit darker. Again, here's another place where it's a little too light. So it just needed that extra layer. Could have more darks underneath there. It's probably too much light here. I don't know, maybe there shouldn't be so much bright right there. Alright, now I can do something about our trunks.